Continuing the video series on weight loss, weight maintenance, talking about the most important part of that whole process, which is keeping the weight off. Many enter the yo-yo cycle. I think we've all done that at some point, potentially. So, how do you keep this weight off that you work so hard to cut? You maybe spend some time on doing some dieting, and if you haven't watched those videos, I would encourage you to do so already. 2 videos on is a calorie, and the beginnings of weight maintenance. And remember, the first part of weight maintenance is selecting a diet in the first place that makes sense for weight maintenance. You can't do something that's completely off in left field, that's terribly expensive, or if you're using a high-powered supplement, high-powered meaning financially as well, and then wean yourself off of that is going to require a lot of behavior change, which you haven't done yet. You just relied on the method of that diet in order to position yourself in weight loss. Now, you haven't changed any behavior, and now you're in trouble. Not in trouble, but now you have an uphill battle. You haven't adjusted your behavior yet, and that's the whole point of dieting. Dieting, we want to get to the point where diet is a noun, not a verb. Okay, we just cut our calories down a little bit of our current diet and are able to easily maintain our weight over time. And so what I want to talk about in this video, the last video I talked about selecting the diet that makes the most sense for you in terms of looking at long-term sustainability. And in this video, in terms of maintenance, I want to talk a little bit more about just the basics of maintenance. Like, what are the characteristics of successful maintenance? And one of the things I'm going to say is I'm going to make sure I put a caveat in here about this first one, which is weigh yourself daily. Now, that might go a little bit against some of the things you hear about the scale. And I would also agree that it does if you can handle it. And what does that mean? If you ride the emotional roller coaster of the scale weight every day, don't weigh yourself every day. If you can handle ups and downs, you'd probably be somebody who can watch the stock market and not get too upset about it if you lose some money, because you know it's probably going to come back the next day, and vice versa. What we're looking for is trends. So give yourself a week and a half watching the scale, what it's doing. If you notice that you're gaining a little bit over those 10 days or so, you're gained about ½ a pound, you might be incurring extra calories somewhere. And so looking at what you're doing and maybe getting, if you have a plan or if you have some sort of way that tracking calories is taking your calories down for a week and making sure you drift back down. If you don't have some sort of awareness, it's really easy to get into that yo-yo cycle, okay? And awareness can come in different things. It can come from, personally, I weigh myself every day. Not because I'm obsessed with the scale, but it lets me know, well, I ate too much yesterday, I got 3 pounds of bloat on me, probably need to be a little bit more strict today. Really opt for, it was my son's birthday, too much pizza, okay? So I'm just using an example, may not happen. And so the next day, now I'm going to focus maybe more on a plant-based diet in order to get the bloat down, be a little bit healthier, higher protein sources that are higher quality, for the next 3 or 4 days, get the bloat down, and then I'm back to where I was before I started the weekend. And so, you're having these micro fluctuations rather than huge, swings in your diet and huge swings on the scale, which is more of a yo-yo dieting pattern, which we want to stay away from. So first tip, weight maintenance, weigh every day, only if you can handle it. And the weigh-in every day serves 2 purposes: to watch the weight drift. If it is drifting up, make some corrections. Look at your diet, what you're doing wrong. And it serves a second purpose as a daily reminder where you're at. Okay, yeah, I am high. It might be some body water because I had a lot of sodium with the pizza. But it still reminds me that, you know what, I need to take it easy today. I'm not going to make up for yesterday. I'm just going to make sure my calories are on point today. And I'm going to get that bloat off as soon as possible. Okay, so that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, exercise. And this should go without saying. The research literature we have, by the way, is supportive of weighing every day if you can handle it. By the way, if you cannot handle it every day, weigh in twice a week, weigh in once a week. And you can use a tape measurement to measure your waist circumference a little bit if you are one that gets really hooked on the weight, what's going on the scale. If that scale is setting the tone for your day, in other words, the mood of your day, you cannot handle it. Don't weigh every day. Weigh once a week. Weigh twice a week max. That'll still give you that trend. It'll still create some awareness. It's not as good as every day, but it's going to be a lot better for you mentally when you approach a scale. We don't develop unhealthy relationships with the scale and with food. Maintenance should not be a time where you're obsessed. In fact, it should be a time you can relax a little bit. You're just creating a little bit of awareness, and that's what dieting really is anyway. It's just creating some awareness about how much you're eating. You're eating too much, you're eating poor quality food. If you've done a good job initially selecting a diet that's more food-based, whole food-based, not supplement-based, and all these things, you should already have those things in place. So when you go into maintenance, Now you're just adjusting the calories up and down a little bit, but you're not making these drastic changes to your diet in terms of food choices even. You might have a bad weekend, but then you're back to your normal diet the following week, okay? So just a side note on scale, I don't want to advocate weighing every day, and that really is not a good idea for some of you. Only if you can handle it. Second thing though is training. Make sure you exercise consistently. This should go without saying. When we looked at the calories in, calories out, one of the calories out is exercise, right? That's one of the big things. Physical activity. The more you exercise and the fitter you become, you're probably going to have more self-efficacy, meaning you feel good about doing new things, trying new things, you feel confident about things, so your exercise will go up, but your physical activity also go up. So you might start hiking, you might start, depending where you live, you might start walking more, you might start taking up cycling, you may take up a sport, so on and so forth. Don't stop training. Training goes in the same cycle though as your diet. So if you've had a bad week, well, I didn't get to the gym once. Go to the gym once then. That's one time where you burn some calories that may have kept you in maintenance for the whole week. And then the next week you're back to your 4-day routine or whatever you're doing. Or, I can't make it to the gym today. I can at least go for a walk. Is that good? Yeah, absolutely. Go for a walk, okay? Move. At the end of the day, we just want to burn some calories. It's healthy. Move, move, move. And so don't think that one day doesn't matter. It does. If you've had a bad week, a bad 2 weeks, a bad month, in some cases you haven't been able to adhere to exercise routine, just keep going as much as you can and get back on your routine as soon as you can. That leads into my last point. Don't give up. This is real simple. Those that adhere long term, that are able to keep the weight off, they are not going to be perfect. I've been losing weight over time. I'm giving you an example for myself. I've been losing weight over time. I was a college football player. I was really focused on being strong, and then I had some back issues over the years from high school and college football. That's a backstory we can talk about some other time. And I've realized, having children, and I'd like to live a fair amount of time, and I don't need to be strong like that anymore. I miss strapping a big barbell on my back and squatting it, but I can't do it anymore. So there's no point in me being large anymore. And so I've been on a weight loss journey of my own, okay? And there's times when I'm losing weight on purpose, and then I'll plateau maintenance for a time on purpose, which is absolutely needed in order to establish a new set point and give yourself a break from cutting. But during that maintenance, I bounce around, right? I mean, there's days, I mentioned my son's birthday party, right? I gained 2-3 pounds from being a little bit off the rails. Okay, back at it the next week. I'm not going to give up and just say, oh no, I've lost control of my weight. No, I haven't. I've actually just had one bad day where I actually relaxed my eating a little bit, a cheat meal, some call it. And now I'm going to get back on plan the next day and I'm going to be just fine, okay? So whatever method you're using, whatever tactic you're using to run your maintenance, I would highly recommend you don't use keto, but any of these other ones for the most part are okay. Whole foods, use all the macros, but you can adjust your calories up and down then, be in tune with your body, whether you go to intuitive eating or you have a plan in order to make sure that you don't get to those outer regions of the bandwidth of your weight maintenance. Expect some movement in your weight. It's okay if you drift up and down. If you're 140 pounds, if you drift up and down 2 pounds or so, no big deal, right? 3 pounds, now you're starting to say, okay, I'm drifting up a little too high, let's make some adjustments. If you're a little bit bigger, if you're 200 pounds and you drift over 3 pounds, 4 pounds, now I'm starting to okay, I'm drifting a little bit, let's get it back down. Okay, that's what the everyday weighing or even just the weighing twice a week, once a week can do, is just create that awareness. And that's what we're trying to create, awareness, and then don't give up. Don't just throw in the towel because things got hard for a stretch. Even if you move, moving is one of the worst things ever. And it was a month long and it derailed your nutrition, it derailed your physical activity. Do what you can. Do what you can. Your diet may not be on point, but you can still move towards protein and fiber and really keep the intake down. And you might find that you come out of that the same weight that you started. Okay? It's just about awareness, not giving up. All right? So, first point, weigh every day if you can handle it. That'll help with that awareness piece. Second one is train consistently. Don't give up there. Be consistent, even if there's a time where you can't. Go back to being consistent. One day matters. A walk matters. It all matters. Okay? So take it in. Don't just give up and say, well, I can't do it like I usually do. I'm not going to bother. Wrong. Still exercise or do some sort of physical activity. And the last one, plays off the other two, which is just don't give up. And you can see success long term. Now, there's some other things I'm going to talk about as well in terms of macros to help kill hunger and some ways that you can approach your eating and maintenance cycle. But I want to at least lead into coming off the right diet selection. What's some general characteristics of people who maintain their weight over time? And those three things are certainly a cornerstone. the foundation of good weight maintenance.